Our brain is an absolute master of efficiency. It creates all these little mental shortcuts to help us get through the day. But what happens when those shortcuts, those clever little tricks, actually lead us into a trap? Today, we're going to dig into why our brains get stuck in these negative thought loops, and way more importantly, how we can break free. Oh, you know that feeling, right? Where just one little worry or a negative fact gets stuck on repeat, like a broken record, and you just can't seem to shake it. It literally feels like your brain's wheels are spinning in the mud, but you're not going anywhere at all. So, where does this whole mess even begin? Well, funny enough, it often starts with something our brains do to be, well, incredibly efficient. Let's take a look at our brain's brilliant, but yeah, sometimes pretty flawed system of mental shortcuts.
I mean, just think about it for a second. Our attention is a super limited resource. We literally can't process every single tiny detail of every situation we're in. It's just too much. So to speed things up, our brains create these shortcuts, also known as heuristics, to make really quick judgments and decisions.
Now, there's an official term for when these shortcuts kind of lead us off track. It's called a cognitive bias. And really, it's just a pattern in our thinking that can distort our judgment. It sways the conclusions we make every single day. And the craziest part is, most of the time, we don't even realize it's happening. So for example, have you ever noticed how you're way more likely to click on a news story that already supports what you believe? Come on, we all do it. That is confirmation bias in action. It just feels good to have our beliefs confirmed, so our brain kind of selectively tunes into the stuff that agrees with us. Oh, or how about this one? After your favorite team wins the big game, you go, I totally knew they were going to win. That's hindsight bias. It makes us think we're way better at predicting things than we actually are, turning the total chaos of life into this neat, tidy story, but only after it's already happened. Okay, so these everyday biases show us that our brain loves taking the easy route, it loves patterns. But that exact same tendency can really turn against us, trapping our thoughts in a much more destructive cycle, what we call the overthinking loop. And this is where we can get really stuck. It's what experts call repetitive negative thinking, or RNT for short. It's what's known as a transdiagnostic process, which is just a fancy way of saying it's a common thread that runs through a whole bunch of different mental health challenges, like anxiety and depression. It's basically the engine behind that feeling of being mentally stuck. Now, what's really interesting here is that RNT isn't just one thing. It actually comes in a few different flavors. You've got rumination, which is all about the past. You're just passively replaying a mistake over and over again. Then there's worry. That's its future-focused cousin, that chain of what-ifs about stuff that hasn't even happened. And catastrophizing, whew, that's when you take one tiny concern and your brain immediately leaps to the absolute worst-case scenario. But wait a minute, isn't thinking about our problems supposed to be a good thing? This is where we have to make a really, really crucial distinction between two very different ways of thinking. No, not at all. Actually, some self-focus is absolutely essential if we want to grow, but it has to be the right kind of self-focus. The real key here is understanding the difference between productively processing something and just, well, spinning your wheels. And this slide just lays it out perfectly. Rumination is passive, it's stuck, it's stressful. You're just dwelling on the problem. But self-reflection, that's totally different. It's active, it's purposeful. You're not just replaying what happened, you're actively trying to learn from it, focused on finding solutions and growing. One keeps you stuck in the mud, the other moves you forward. This quote just absolutely nails it, doesn't it? Our metaphorical wheels are turning, but we're not going anywhere. Man, that is the perfect description of rumination. It's all this mental energy being burned, with zero forward progress. So if rumination is so unhelpful and just feels awful, why is it so hard to stop? Well, the answer, it turns out, has less to do with willpower and a lot more to do with the biology of our brain's main management system. Yeah, it turns out our ability to just stop these thought loops isn't really about being strong-willed. It's deeply connected to a set of high-level mental processes that basically act as the CEO of our brain. This management system is called our executive functions. You can think of them as the brain's air traffic controller. They're what help you stop an impulse, shift your attention from one thing to another, and plan ahead. They're absolutely essential for self-regulation.
And this is what the research actually shows. Now, don't worry about all the acronyms and boxes here. The key thing is to just follow the arrows. What studies found is this really direct link. When our executive functions, our brain's manager, are weaker or tired, it leads to more rumination and worry. And as you can see, that rumination is a really powerful predictor for symptoms of depression and anxiety. It's basically scientific proof of that stuck feeling. So, to put it simply, when the brain's manager is tired, stressed out, or just overworked, it loses its ability to step in and say, okay, that's enough of that thought, time to move on. We lose the ability to disengage, and that's how we get caught in the loop. Okay, so that's the problem, that's the science behind it, but here's the good news, the really good news. We are not powerless here. Understanding this whole mechanism is the first step to actually stepping in and building up our resilience. So let's get into the practical, actionable stuff we can do to break free. Researcher Nick Petrie laid out this brilliant 4-step process. First, wake up. You just have to notice you're in the loop and pull your attention into the present moment. Second, control your attention. Consciously decide what you're going to focus on instead. Third, detach. Create a little psychological distance. And finally, number 4, let go. Just ask yourself, is focusing on this actually helping me? If the answer is no, give yourself permission to release it. Now, one of the most effective ways to do this, especially those first 2 steps, is a really simple technique from cognitive behavioral therapy. You just deliberately shift your focus of attention away from your internal world, your thoughts and feelings, and onto your external world. This is a perfect example. Instead of being lost in that spiral of thoughts, you ground yourself right here, right now, by reconnecting with the physical world around you. It literally breaks the loop because you're giving your brain something tangible and neutral to focus on instead. And it can be so incredibly simple. You don't need to go hike in a national park. You can do it right now. Just scan the room you're in and find 5 things that are blue. Go for a short walk and just notice the trees. Listen for birds. Or just stand up and really feel your feet firmly planted on the ground. These tiny little acts pull you out of your head and back into the present moment. So the big takeaway here is this. Our brains might have these tricky shortcuts that get us stuck, but they also have this incredible capacity to change. We can learn to notice the loop and then consciously choose to step out of it. Remember, your thoughts are real, but they don't have to be your reality. So my question for you is, what's one small step you'll take to practice breaking the cycle?